So a common question I get a lot is, does Minnesota have an inheritance tax? And the answer to that is no, we do not have an inheritance tax. Minnesota has an estate tax, and I am going to tell you in this video what the difference is. Hi, I'm Claire Langton-Janowitz from the Janowitz Law Firm, where we've been helping families with wills, trusts, and probate for 30 years now. Okay, let's get started. So an inheritance tax is a tax that is owed at death. And the difference between an inheritance tax and an estate tax is that with an inheritance tax, we look at who is inheriting the property. And depending upon who's inheriting the property, there may be a tax owed. Oftentimes, with inheritance tax, if someone that is a non-family member or a distant family member is inheriting property, there may be a tax owed. Iowa is a state that presently has inheritance tax, whereas Minnesota has an estate tax. An estate tax, we look at what the person owned as of their date of death. And if the value of their property is greater than $3 million and it's passing to someone other than charity or a spouse, then that's when we owe an estate tax in Minnesota. Okay, so we look at the total value. Is it over 3 million? Yes or no? Yes. Then we ask, who is it passing to? Is it passing to someone other than spouse and charity? Is more than 3 million passing to someone other than charity and a spouse? Then we owe estate tax here in Minnesota. And that's for a Minnesota resident. It becomes a little bit more complicated if you have someone who is not a resident of Minnesota, but they have property in Minnesota, like real estate. That may trigger an estate tax for a non-resident who owns property in Minnesota, but that calculation is a little bit more complicated. Well, thanks for listening today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button so that you can learn more about wills, trusts, and probate. Thank you.